Okay, so where was your mother or my grandmother living during World War II?
During World War II, she was a young bride living in Hiroshima City.
Okay, so how was her first husband, as you mentioned, involved in the war, and how did that affect her?
Well, I believe he was in the Navy, and he was, from what I can gather from what my mother said, um, and he was deployed to, or he had to go to Kobe, which is a naval and aircraft base in Japan. So I believe, from what I remember, they were married about 6 months before he left. And she was pregnant when he left. So unfortunately, he never got to see his son, my half brother. So what happened was when he was born, my mother went to Kobe, so that she was hoping that her husband would see his son before he was sent out wherever. And her and her sister and my brother, half brother, she and my aunt and my half brother took a train to Kobe, and they went to the military base, but they couldn't get in. So they could see the base through the fence, and I don't know if at that point he had left Kobe already, but she never did get to show him his son, and he died during the war. So it was very tragic.
Okay, so later, how were she and her family then affected by the dropping of the atomic bomb?
Yeah, that's a really interesting story because she lived with her husband's family in the city, but from what she told me, it was the day before or the night before she decided, for whatever reason, to return to her family with my brother, half brother, to a town called Asagun, which is near Kabemachi, and that's about 21 kilometers pretty much north of Hiroshima City. So when the bomb fell, they were spared. It was like a miracle. She lived, and unfortunately, her husband's family died during the bombing. So that was a terrible thing. But if she hadn't returned, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here now. You wouldn't be here.
Okay, so right, that was in Hiroshima, and then where was your father though during World War II?
Well, during World War II, my father was on the other side of the ocean, living in Canada, in the Fraser Valley, which is near Vancouver, British Columbia. And so during the war, I don't know what year it was, the Canadian government rounded up those who were of Japanese origin in Vancouver, the Vancouver area. They were gathered up, or told to take a suitcase, whatever belongings they had, and go to Hastings Park, which is now known as the Pacific National Exhibition. And there was kind of a barrack set up there, and that's where he went. This is something he used to always mention, Hastings Park. He never really spoke about internment. I only found out about this, I don't know, shortly before he died in 1989, because of the redress program where the Canadian government tried to locate all those who had been interned. So from what I gather, this is what happened. He was sent, this is what he told me, he was sent from Hastings Park. They were relocated to an internment camp in Blue River, which was in the interior of British Columbia. They were I don't think they wanted any Japanese Canadians within 100 miles of the Pacific coast. So that's what happened to him. So I don't know what year he was sent there. He never really told me. But yeah, it was something that he, I just found out about then. And do you want me to tell you about what he did at Blue River?
Yeah, like explain his experiences with internment and stuff.
So what happened there is that the men were sent to work on the Yellowhead Highway. And that's what he did for a number of years. I know when he spoke about the internment camp, there were some of his friends that would resist. They didn't like being interned. I don't think he liked it either, but they rebelled. And he remember telling me, he said he told them to all behave themselves because all they were going to do was get punished. And so he really believed in just making no waves, and I guess he had really good behavior because it led to something happening while he was there. Did you want me to speak about that? So what happened was a person of German ancestry, funny, Axis countries, Ray Mueller, who ended up being a very good friend of the family, came to the camp at Blue River and asked for volunteers that he could use in his sawmill and Sinclair Mills, near Sinclair Mills, which is on the Fraser River. And my father and I think 2 others were let go from the camp. So my father was really grateful because this guy essentially rescued him from the internment camp, and he remained there in Sinclair Mills near Ray Mueller until it was decided that he should get a bride in 1958, I guess, or 59. So he remained a bachelor all that time, but he was so grateful to have been rescued from the internment camp. It was something that he never really talked about. So this is all stuff I gleaned before he died and afterwards because of the redress program. What had happened is when he was in the internment camp, the government decided that all the property that the interned Japanese Canadians had, all their belongings, was sold, and they didn't get any of the money from that. It was sold for a pittance. And so many years later, I think in, like I say, 1988 or thereabouts, the Canadian government decided to compensate those people. But it was devastating for him because he was helpless during the war. He was kind of a broken man. Whether he was Japanese or Canadian, he kind of really didn't have an identity there. So anyway, it was something that he didn't speak about, but I do remember after my mother married him, and of course I was born, my half-brother came from Japan to live with us. My father resented my half-brother, and he resented my half-brother's father because, of course, he served in the army, and I don't know if if he had a heroic death. I really don't know, but he was doing something, and meanwhile my father was helpless in an internment camp. Really living. Very, very. He was very shamed about that, and it would come out many years later. When he was drunk, so I don't know if that was as a result of that too. He lived a very hard life, but I wish I had learned more about both sides of the family because of the experiences they went through. Neither really wanted to speak about. My mother in Japan, after the A-bomb fell, she went back to the city, of course, to look for her family, her husband's family, and also because she had skills as a nurse, and most of the nurses a lot of them had been killed by the A-bomb. So I knew an interview had been done. I never, because I don't see Japanese, I can't read Japanese. I don't know what was written about that, but I sure would have loved to have heard her side of her experience, more about what happened when she went back into the city. She did. There didn't seem to be many visible effects of the A-bomb, but she still, the Japanese government still takes care of her, examines her every year and makes sure she's healthy. She gets examined and they take care of that, and I think she gets a monthly stipend of some kind because of what happened during the Ebon, so she does get compensation as well. So, but you know, my mother has Alzheimer's now, so that story, I'll have to get someone to translate that story for me so I hear more about it one day.
Okay, great. Thank you.